What's up, you guys? My name is Sean, and I'm one of your co-hosts of the Mic Drop Events podcast. And I just wanted to talk to all of our podcast listeners for a few minutes, specifically about some of the differences between networking at virtual events, networking at hybrid events, and networking at online events. Because here's the thing is that specifically when COVID happened and the world was shut down, we were all forced to take all of our events online. We weren't able to gather people together. And one of the big things about being at an event, whether that's a conference or a specific networking event or a convention, was the ability to meet new people to help out with your business or just to have friends from different countries or different things like that. And here's the interesting part is that I personally like networking online better than I did going to a traditional networking event. Now, networking at conferences and conventions was a little bit different. You could set up meetings one-on-one, but the magic was happening when you were meeting one-on-one rather than like walking around at cocktail tables. I used to remember going to these events where I would go to certain cool places, but most of the time when I showed up to something, if I was new to that organization or new to that group of people, there was a bunch of people who all knew each other. They were all friends. They saw each other about once a month, or maybe they worked together and they were all there together. And so it's this really interesting thing being an outsider and going to one of those, because approaching a cocktail table where everybody knew each other was really intimidating. And so here's something that I want to leave you with is if we do go back to those style networking events, think about some way of breaking up the small groups of people into maybe one-on-one sessions, a lot like the virtual events world has done, and make it easier for the exchange of information. Because one of the benefits of having a hybrid event or a virtual event, specifically for networking, is either on an app or on a website, you can link either your LinkedIn or your email, and you can simply click a button and it exchanges information or it connects you to that other person digitally. So it's much easier to follow up with them. I was actually hosting a Clubhouse room. If you're not on Clubhouse yet, you can feel free to shoot myself personally a DM on Instagram, or you can send it to the Elevate one. But Clubhouse is a really cool app for audio networking. I call it a networking accelerator, because you get to meet people from anywhere in the world who are jumping into the same conversation. And again, going back to the hybrid or virtual event, one of the interesting things about networking on this app is you're not connected to LinkedIn yet, although you can simply search for them in LinkedIn. But right now the app is still in beta, and so we can only connect either our Twitter or Instagram. And most of the networking that's happening there is through people sending direct messages to someone else on Instagram. That's about 90% of it. Some of it's on Twitter. Also, I've been able to find some amazing people on there as well, but it's been specific to networking that way. And the reason why I call it a networking accelerator is a lot like you can hear my voice. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you can hear the energy in my voice. You can hear the stories that I tell. So again, going back to the Clubhouse room and why I started to talk about that, this was a room where we were talking. It was a group of about 25 of us, and about 8 of us were on stage talking about what did we prefer, in person or virtual, for networking events. And most people preferred in person because of the energy. But if you can hear my voice right now, you can hear the energy in my voice. And so this is one of the reasons why I like Clubhouse and audio type networking. And even there's a shout out to a friend of mine named Ann who works at this new company called Twine that's helping with specifically networking virtually. And what they do is they allow you to register as a user. And if you set up a group of people, it will match people one-on-one for a 5-minute video call, or at least the 5-minute video call is what I was on. And they even have prompts for questions that you can talk about. And then at the bottom of the screen, there's simply a button like I was talking about earlier, where you just share your contact information. So when you register, you can add your email address, you can add your LinkedIn, and maybe something about you, your job title or the company that you work at with the website. And then afterwards, After the event is over, you get an email with those people's contact information. And it makes it super easy to add them to your address book. You can then reach out to them directly and say, hey, I had a great conversation. I would love to follow up with you here. I've had a couple new people. We connected on LinkedIn. We were able to exchange information. I've got a couple of Zoom calls coming up, because here's the other thing that was kind of fun is it was a hard stop. It was 5 minutes on the dot. There was no going over. It was like, hey, you at the 5 minute mark, the video shuts off and it starts to refresh for the next person that you're going to meet. And what's fun about that, but what's also challenging, is we had some times where we were mid-sentence and we weren't allowed to finish that sentence, but that's okay because it leaves you wanting more, which is, I think, a great event tip. You never want to have people where they're sitting there like awkwardly and they're kind of waiting for something else to happen, which can happen sometimes if you give too much time. If you give not enough time, like this one, which I think it was about 4 different people that I met. So that's 20 total minutes, but it felt so fast. So it felt like the event was moving. And when we were mid-sentence, there were some people I was like, oh, I got to follow up with this person. And now I've got a one-on-one Zoom call scheduled with a couple of them. So this is a great way to network, is to figure out some way to do these one-on-one events. It's whether that's Zoom breakout rooms or using a platform like Twine, but these one-on-one kind of video chats. And here's the interesting thing, is going back to the in-person versus virtual, specifically for networking events. When I was in person attending these networking events and I would approach a cocktail table, it felt a little bit like, what are you about to sell me, right? There were some people who were very open. They were authentically there to network. Some people were there, it felt like they were there only to talk to the people that they knew, and they didn't really want to meet anyone new. So here's the interesting thing about meeting someone online. If you're going to sign up and you're going to go to a networking event virtually, people really want to be there and they really want to network. Whereas again, some other people are there just for the drinks or the food or to see the cool space. So there might be different reasons why they're coming in, which is still a good thing. And so there's nothing wrong with those. So now that I'm being a little bit critical about those types of events, here's something to think about. When you host a networking event, have something for the people to do that unites them under something common. So some of the best networking events where I was able to go, there was an energy around maybe a prize that they were going to win if they were to go to every single table or go and meet different people. We've seen bingo cards, and I know that some people might be tired of those, but they work for a reason. If you're going to go and you're going to be like, hey, I don't really want to do this bingo card, that's great. Go and hang out on the side. But for the people that authentically want to network and connect, giving us something to do, giving those people something to do really allows them to unite together and to find the other people that want to be there to network and meet new people. So that's something to think about. And I was actually the MC of a networking event back in the Christmas time. I think this was back in 2019 for a local chapter of a chamber of commerce. And we did the bingo cards and I was the MC and we were playing music and it was so fun. The music, the energy, playing a really fun song and having someone energetic on the microphone to encourage and walk around with people. People were bringing me their bingo cards while I was walking around on the microphone. It was so fun. So if you can do something like that, and even do it virtually, you can give them something to do together. When we've done this at Elevate, one of the things that we do virtually to encourage networking is we do what we call the Elevate Variety Show. It is a game show where you play a variety of games, you interact in a variety of ways, and you meet a variety of people. And the fun thing about that is what we do is we will be all together on, say, a Zoom type platform where everyone's together. You can see their cameras and their cameras are on and you can chat with each other. And then what we do is we like to do an activity and then we send people to breakout rooms and we say, hey, as a team, you're going to accomplish this together. And it's a team competition where we're all together. And then they go and they do something together like a Zoom scavenger hunt. And the fact that you're doing something together, it builds rapport with those people. And so then if we do send them to breakout rooms, when we do for some of our clients that have hired us to do this, When we send them to breakout rooms just to kind of chat and get to know each other, we usually give them a question to answer, and they already have something in common, which is that they're on a team, they're competing for something, and they've usually already done an activity together. So it kind of makes it easier to break down that barrier, and it's a really fun and simple way. Now, the last thing I want to talk about specifically for networking in this new post-COVID or even COVID era, whatever you want to call it, is the hybrid event space. So if you're new to Elevate, I've been talking about this for a while in podcasts, on videos, and social media, and our team has as well. And hybrid events are when you have an online audience, a virtual audience, and you have an in-person audience. And so the challenges can be is how do you get the in-person audience, that are the people that are in the room together, how do you get them to network with the people that are online, that are virtually hanging out? Well, an easy way to do it is to find an app or a website that allows them to chat with each other. I was actually just listening to a podcast. Maybe this is, is this what you classify as meta? I'm on a podcast recording one, talking about a podcast I was listening to. Well, there's a gentleman by the name of Tom Singer, and he said he was attending an event, and he saw someone next to him that had downloaded the app that the online people were watching, and he turned his volume all the way down, but allowed him to chat with the people there as well. And he said it transformed the event for him. And it can do that for your attendees if you encourage everyone, whether they are in person or they are online, to download the app. Then they can all interact. They can all send LinkedIn messages. They can laugh at things together. And what's fun about this is there is an energy that comes about. So specifically, if you're networking, these are some great recommendations. Have something for the people to do together, because the people that want to do it and want to network, they're going to do it. Whether that's online or in person, you can gamify the online networking if you want to, or the online interaction. That's one way. So that's tip number one. And then tip number two is to make sure to have an online platform, an easy way for people to exchange information. Because I personally would love it if gone were the days when we had to exchange business cards, take that business card, take a picture of it, whatever you do, and scan it or upload it, save it somewhere, and then follow up with someone, right? So let's normalize those two things where we're doing something as a group for networking. We're doing one-on-one videos, we're doing group videos, and then we're also exchanging information in a really simple and like a one-click way. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening into Mic Drop Events podcast. If you are new to our platform, you can go to elevate.tips. That's elevate.tips. And that takes you straight to our link tree, where we've got links to our YouTube channel, links to our podcast episodes, links to our website. It is kind of the one link to rule them all, if you know that Lord of the Rings reference. Well, guys, this has been so fun. My name is Sean Specie. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, wherever your favorite social media platform is. YouTube specifically. We're not on TikTok though. So if you think we should be on TikTok, you got to convince me. I'm not sold yet. So feel free to reach out and convince me if you want to, and we'll chat with you guys later. But hey, podcast listeners, thank you so much. And please be sure, if you haven't already, to share this with a friend, as well as subscribe to it and leave us a rating would be amazing. We'll catch you later.